You know, living alone is something people often romanticize. You see those peaceful, quiet mornings, sipping coffee in a cozy home, with no one to disturb you. And don't get me wrong, it has its beautiful moments. But what no one really talks about is the hard parts. I didn't truly realize what I had signed up for when I first started living alone. At first, it was exciting. The freedom to do what I wanted, when I wanted, without considering anyone else. But over time, I started to notice the challenges that no one had warned me about. And if you're someone who's living alone or thinking about it, I want to have an honest chat about what it's really like. The silence can feel too loud. One of the biggest things that hit me was the silence. At first, it felt peaceful. No background noise, no interruptions, just me and my thoughts. But after a while, it started to feel a little too quiet. I remember one evening, I was sitting at my dining table eating dinner, and I realized I hadn't spoken to another person all day. Not one word. The house was still. The only sound was my fork scraping against the plate. And in that moment, it hit me. This is my reality now. And I know I'm not the only one who has felt this. When you live alone, especially after years of sharing your life with others, the absence of voices can be overwhelming. It's in those little moments, when you have something funny to say but no one to say it to, when you want to vent about your day, but there's no one around to listen, that the loneliness creeps in. But what I've learned is that silence doesn't have to feel empty. I started filling my space with things that made me feel connected. I play my favorite music in the background. I talk to my plants. Yes, really. I call a friend just to say hi. And surprisingly, I found comfort in my own company. Everything is on you, every single thing now. Let's talk about the practical side of living alone. Because let's be real, when you live alone, everything falls on you. If something breaks, guess who has to fix it? If the power goes out, you're the one fumbling around with a flashlight. If you're feeling sick, there's no one to make you soup or run to the store for medicine. I remember one night my kitchen sink got clogged. I stood there staring at it, completely annoyed because usually someone else would handle things like this. But there was no someone else, it was just me. That's when I realized that independence comes with responsibility. I had to figure things out on my own. And you know what? Over time, I got better at it. I learned how to unclog a drain, I fixed my own leaking tap, and I even assembled furniture by myself. Okay, with some frustration and a few deep sighs. The truth is, living alone forces you to become self-sufficient in ways you never expected. And while it's tough, it's also empowering. Because now, there's a sense of pride in knowing that I can take care of myself. The nights can feel the loneliest, daytime is easy. You're busy, you have things to do, places to be. But when night falls, that's when the weight of being alone can hit the hardest. There's something about knowing that you're the only one in the house that can feel unsettling at times. When I first started living alone, I found myself double-checking the locks more than once, listening to every little noise, overthinking every creak in the floorboards. But over time, I built routines that helped me feel safe and secure. I got a good security system. I started turning on soft background music before bed, and I made my home feel like a place of comfort rather than isolation. I also learned that nighttime doesn't have to feel lonely. I started using that quiet time for things I love, reading, writing, watching my favorite shows. And instead of feeling anxious about the solitude, I started appreciating it. You have to be intentional about socializing. This is a big one. When you live alone, socializing doesn't happen naturally anymore. You're not bumping into family members in the kitchen or having conversations over dinner with a partner. You have to make the effort to stay connected. And for some of us, that's not always easy. I've had weeks where I got so comfortable in my solitude that I barely reached out to anyone. And while alone time is great, Too much of it can start to feel isolating. So now I schedule time with people. I make sure to check in with friends, even if it's just a quick phone call. I plan coffee dates, even if I don't feel like going out. And you know what? Every time I do, I feel better. Because at the end of the day, we all need connection. The hardest part becomes the most valuable part. Here's the thing, living alone is hard, but it's also an incredible teacher. It teaches you how to rely on yourself, how to enjoy your own company, how to be comfortable in silence, and how to appreciate the relationships in your life even more. Yes, there are days when it's tough, but there are also days when it feels like the best decision I've ever made. The peace, the freedom, the ability to shape my life however I want. It's something I've grown to love. If you're living alone or thinking about it, know that it's okay to struggle with it sometimes. It's normal. But also know that you are capable, you are strong, and you will find ways to make it work for you. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's been the hardest part of living alone for you? Let's chat in the comments. And if this video resonated with you, give it a like, subscribe, and join me for more conversations about life, independence, and personal growth. You're never truly alone. There's always a community here. See you in the next one.